Ladies, gentlemen, and bowlers from around the world, welcome to the Kegel Show. My name is Don Agent, and I'll be this week's host. To my left, I'm very happy to have with us this week the captain of the Weber women's bowling team, Caitlyn Johnson. Caitlyn, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
Your day. You, like a lot of younger players that have come up through the ranks over the years and dedicated quite a bit of your time to bowling, have quite an extensive resume. Very impressive. So I'm going to read off a few highlighted teams or things. Obviously, 2 years junior team USA. Okay. Some big achievements. You had 2 gold medals with trios and team and 1 silver at doubles at the 2019 PABCON. Yep. You also had a gold medal at team and a silver at singles in the 2018 World Youth, which I did some of those events, and I know how hard that competition is. Literally, you were 2017-18 NCBCA Most Valuable Player of the Year, 17 and 18 NAIA All-American Team, and 17 NAIA Rookie of the Year, just to name a few.
Yep.
Pretty impressive. How old are you?
I'm 20. I turned 21 in 16 days.
Wow. Well, happy early birthday.
Thank you.
If I don't see it, I'm on the road because my travel schedule is a little bit hectic, and I know y'all's will be soon because y'all are getting ready for competitions coming around the corner.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's dig right into it. I mean, let's give some background on you. Where are you from, and what got you started bowling?
So I'm actually from North Carolina. I was born and raised in Rockwell, North Carolina. What started me in bowling was I was homeschooled at the time, and my dad would go to the bowling center for lunch on his lunch breaks. So I would meet him at the bowling center, and this one bowling center happened to be closing at the time. So what they did is they had like this sale in the pro shop where it's like ball bag and shoes but half price.
Oh, wow.
So got ball bag and shoes, fun stuff, and started just throwing a ball down the lane for fun for the summer. And then I think it was the fall that I turned 9 was whenever I started in league. And it was just because I walked in and they happened to be having Saturday morning league at the time, and one of the coaches came up and like, well, why aren't you bowling with us? I was like, I didn't know this was a thing.
Sure.
So I got involved with it like that, and then ended up getting just wrapped up into it, started getting coaching. And next thing I know, I'm coming to Kegel at 13 and been training here ever since. And then we moved to Texas whenever I was 14 and just been trying to keep up with the bowling. Bowling's not that big where I live in Texas in Beaumont. It's just not that big of a deal. So it was a lot of traveling and just dedication, but coming back to Kegel and training is the one thing that kept me wanting to bowl. Well,
you've been part of our extended family for quite some time, but not to really downplay Beaumont. You got a pretty good player sitting out there. It's
Definitely.
Also a friend of yours. You want to give him a shout out?
Yeah. So Mark Williams lives in Beaumont, owns the bowling center. He actually has kind of taken me under his wing quite a bit. He has basically adopted me as like his daughter. I work at the bowling center. They take care of me very well there. Get to stay at the house, so that's a lot of fun. So he's definitely helped in keeping me, him and his girlfriend both have definitely helped in keeping me in the loop with bowling while being kind of away from the scene, being back home, and just keep encouraging me to travel and pursue what I want to do.
He's a fantastic player. I got to do lanes out there when he was out on tour, him and a dear friend of mine who works for another company, Brunswick, Dennis Gemmer. Him and Mark are very dear friends, and they used to do a lot of fishing. So haven't seen you in a while, Mark. If you're watching this, man, hope you're doing well. Okay, we've got some background. What did you all of a sudden, as you got better, did you go, wow, I want to bowl college, or what got you geared towards that avenue?
So whenever I first started bowling league, there was this girl in the league. She was a senior graduating, going to Pikeville to compete. And so they had a tournament her freshman year in Marietta, Georgia.
Okay.
It was also, I think, the first or second year it was the first year that the Weber women's team existed, so 2010.
Yes.
And so I went and watched, and I happened to be like just walking up and down the concourse. And I really don't know what it was. I don't remember, but something caught my eye about the Weber women's team.
Okay.
And so I was watching Randy and the girls bowl and compete. Katie, I think Katie actually was what caught my eye, and I think she threw a strike and came back and was just really excited. And so I watched them for a while, and I was like, interesting. Well, then I went home and researched, and I was like, wow, they train at Kegel. I was like, and at this time I hadn't been to Kegel yet.
Very interesting.
So I've actually always wanted to come to Weber, And that is what wanted me to compete in college, is going to that tournament and watching.
That's a different story that I would have thought. That's actually pretty cool, Caitlyn, without a doubt. All right, that being said, at the college level, what are some of the more unique differences between competition growing up and bowling events and local and state levels versus bowling at a college level and in that environment?
Well, I've always traveled a lot for bowling. My first junior gold was whenever I was 11, so I was used to traveling, so that part wasn't too different for me. It was more of the having to not worry about, but focus on other teammates. So
Okay.
focus on other people, helping them adjust, helping them bowl. I've always been one of those people that, like, I love to help people. I love to kind of coach on the side. And so whenever I got to college, I love to help, like whatever knowledge I have from getting training here for 8 years now to just helping as much as I can. So that part was kind of a transition of like, okay, when do I focus on myself? When do I focus on the team? You know, trying to balance that, because whenever you're bowling individually as a youth, it's all about you, your bowling balls, you're going to bowl the best you can. But now it's like, okay, there's, well, now 15 girls. So it's like, okay, well, how are we going to get these 15 girls to be on the same page and all compete? So that's, the past couple of years, I've learned a lot more about that than I ever knew before. My freshman, sophomore year was just a transition.
Sure.
And then junior, now senior year, I'm just like, okay, so let's focus on the team while spending a little bit of extra time on yourself to make sure that you're still getting the training that you need.
And this is your senior year, so unfortunately we're going to lose you from the women's team after this.
Yep.
You're studying currently
marketing and sports business management.
Fantastic.
So I'm hoping to stay within the bowling industry, help grow the bowling industry with marketing, getting sponsors and stuff like that. And well, I guess that's kind of a whole different story, but and so that's why I did the sports business side of things, because I wanted to get the sports side to mix in with the marketing side and kind of use those two to help grow the sport of bowling.
I don't think if you want to stay in bowling, I don't think it's going to be a problem for you finding a place that'll suck you up.
I hope not.
All right, let's go back to the women's team. I mean, camaraderie and getting 15 people on the same page, and it's not like you're together like 5 minutes a day. I mean, so are you all pretty close knit for the most part?
Yeah, I mean, I went to Chili's the other night, and there were half the women's team were all having dinner together.
That's awesome.
So I mean, it's not just at Kegel. It's not just whenever we're in class. I mean, it's outside of class. I have people over all the time to have study groups and stuff. So we are constantly talking to each other and always just trying to help each other out in every aspect. And I can say that across the board on the women's team, most definitely. So it's more than just being teammates on the lanes.
Sure.
I mean, we're teammates off the lanes. We're supporters. So I would definitely say this group I really like. Last year's group I liked as well, and last year's group was a huge difference. So we went from having 6 players to 14.
Yes.
So we had a huge difference. So last year was like a transition at the beginning, but then at the end of the year, it was like we were family. And this year, everybody comes back and it's the family again.
And that's what it should be. You probably made lifelong friends, you know.
Exactly.
Literally from this stage. Tell us a little bit about Weber, actually. I've never really asked this question. I mean, how is a university? I know it's a smaller university comparatively to what our viewers might think of other colleges, but what makes that kind of unique?
Well, I'm actually from a small town. Actually, both in North Carolina and in Texas, both small towns. So I'm used to the small town aspect. So for me, it's not much different. But for most people, I mean, you say 700 students in a college, and they're like, that's nothing. Like our graduation has like 120. That's nothing. So it's like, it's definitely different than what most people would think. So the school is actually really nice. I like it because it's so small. Like it takes you 7 minutes to walk from one side of campus to the other. And I have friends at Vanderbilt.
That would be more something I like, exactly, versus huge campuses. You got to take a golf cart to get where you got to go.
Yeah, I have friends at Vanderbilt, and they're like, yeah, I walk about 10 miles a day. And I was like, what?
Wow.
How? I was like, no, I just couldn't imagine being on a big campus like that. But yeah, the small campus, small classrooms, and it's on a lake, so that's pretty cool. Like you always have a nice view.
And they have a big international draw there as well.
Oh, huge.
I mean, obviously. So
huge, definitely. Honestly, I think the baseball team alone might have 10 Americans, everybody else is international. And I mean, their baseball team's like 30, 40 people deep.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how many internationals we really do have.
In this little town out in the middle of Florida.
Exactly.
It baffles me sometimes. Who were some bowlers that you specifically looked up to growing up? And it can be pros, anybody. It could be your parents, your coaches, or whatever. Who were picked, maybe a male and a female, you think that really stood out for you or you followed?
All right, so I would probably say the male would have to be, all right, I'm going to pick two. George Pappas.
Uh-huh.
He owned the bowling center
Excellent pick.
that I grew up in Mooresville, North Carolina. He owned that bowling center. So he was one person that I just looked up to and kind of followed around in the bowling and just learned a lot. Not so much about bowling from him, but how to act as a bowler.
Oh, yes, he was a gentleman, and he
Class
was of a
act.
tour era of the Webbers and that
Yes.
type of deal, exactly.
Yeah, so I learned a lot about demeanor from him. And then Sean McKee, he was my first real coach.
Nice.
And he taught me, I mean, everything up to his knowledge that I could learn. He's the one that taught me how to play the gutter at age 12 and then be able to swing the whole lane at the same time. So he taught me so much whenever I was younger. So those would be my males. And then females, I mean, Kelly Kulick, no doubt, definitely the top one.
Phenomenal player.
I mean, I've looked up to her. I think the first time I ever really noticed her was whenever she won TOCs. Back in 2010, I believe. It was a little while ago. But so I looked up to her tremendously because she was an athlete. Not just a bowler, but an athlete,
Yes.
and also a class act. I talked to her a lot this summer about how she acts on the lanes. We were bowling queens, and she didn't have a good look, and she was bowling Shannon O'Keefe in elimination bracket. And
Tough player.
Shannon, oh yes.
Tough player, man. She's on fire.
Yes, definitely. Bowling phenomenally. And she ended up getting beat by Shannon. And I talked to Kelly afterwards, and I was like, I want to be like you whenever I grow up. Like, I really do. And she said, well, yeah, I hope you're a better bowler than I am, because she just lost. And I was like, no, seriously, like the way you act, like you couldn't tell that she was bowling bad just by her attitude. And it was incredible. I absolutely, definitely an idol of mine.
She's an unbelievable ambassador for the sport of bowling,
Yes.
period. I mean, male, female, youth, or adult, my opinion. I mean, she's a phenomenal player and just a great human being. If you could, let's go this direction. If you could pick any tournament in the world that you made the finals for, what would it be, and who would be your dream lineup to go head-to-head against?
Ooh, that's a tough one. All right. I would probably have to say the Tour Championships.
Excellent.
Just because, I mean, you have to bowl amazing all season to make it to the Tour Championships. Like, you have to bowl really well. You have to be on top of your game. So to even get to that tournament to begin with is hard. So if you make it to the tournament,
Okay.
then you got to make it through match play, because all it is match play.
That's correct.
So I would have to say like probably semis if I were to make it that far.
No, you're on the show. I want you
Like,
to, I want
on
you
the
to
show.
give me
Okay.
your top, 4 if we're going 5 on the show.
All right. So let's see. Have to say, all right, Diana Zavalova.
Great pick. Just saw her a couple days ago when I
Yep.
was up in Jersey doing the Bowl Arrow Elite Series.
Yeah, she definitely, probably because she loves match play. Like, I mean, absolutely loves match play because it's head to head on the same pair. Who's better at that moment? And so that would be fun to see.
Okay.
I would really enjoy that. I mean, Shannon, of course, is the best bowler in the world right now.
O'Keefe.
I mean, no
Another
doubt.
Solid pick.
Yes.
Absolutely. You got 2 more.
All right, let's see. Danielle McEwen.
McEwen.
Yes,
Excellent.
definitely. And Maria Rodriguez. Maria
She's a
Jose
good
Rodriguez.
player.
Yes.
She's a very good player.
Yes, she
I
is.
gave that look because I've only been fortunate enough to watch her bowl a few times. But yes, that just jogged a memory there.
Yeah, she is a tremendous player. Very, very intimidating on the lanes. I mean, just the way if she's got it going for her, like it's hard to get her to waver at all. So that would be fun just to be able to bowl against her. I've bowled in multiple tournaments with her before, just crossing pairs, or we're bowling the same events.
Sure.
But never. I don't think I've ever bowled her head to head.
That's a pretty solid lineup, young lady. I'll tell
Yes.
you what. I'd watch
I'm not
that
saying
show.
I would win.
I'd watch that show.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely. All right. Anybody? This is your chance to kind of anybody specifically that you'd like to thank, or group of people you'd like to thank for kind of your journey to where you are right now.
I mean, I would have to say my two families. So my parents and then Kegel. Definitely.
We thank you. That
They
means
have.
a lot to us.
I mean, Randy. Dale was my first coach. Randy being my second coach here, and then Ruben, of course.
Yep.
And Alex has helped me a tremendous amount since I got to college. So just the coaching staff, but Kegel in general. I mean, it's literally home whenever I come back here.
We're
So,
glad you feel that way.
absolutely have to thank them. And of course, everybody at Ebonite. They treat me so well.
Great company.
Yeah, I signed with them a little over a year ago now, but I've always thrown their equipment. My first bowling ball was a Doom, a Hammer Doom.
Nice.
So I've always thrown their equipment, and I just love the company. The way they treat me is just phenomenal. Nothing that I would have ever expected. I mean, them, Coolwick, they treat me tremendously well. I get to go over there and hang out with them sometimes because they're only like 2 hours from here. So I go over there and check in and kind of do some design stuff, social media stuff for them. So they've treated me great. Turbo, of course. They're send me stuff like it's their
like
job.
My adopted sister, Lori Mraz, and we've just been friends for so many years. Yeah, that's a great company.
They helped me a lot with the transition. So I just went from like using slugs to switching to switch grips, and they helped me a lot in that transition. And then Lou Marquez from ITRC.
Good friend of mine, and very, very good coach.
Yes.
A doubt.
Yes.
His resume is pretty solid.
Yeah, everyone at the ITRC, I've gotten to know quite a bit the past 2 years with being with Team USA, and they've treated me phenomenal. Team USA staff, I mean, I feel so blessed with the people that I get to know in this business. Like me, Caitlyn Johnson, like who is that? And then I'm over here getting treated phenomenally by all these people. So there's so many people, like those are probably the highlight ones, but there's so many people that I have to thank. It's crazy.
Hey, listen, you know what? I mean, you also got to give yourself some credit that people wouldn't be helping you if you weren't also looking to better yourself and being the type of person that you are. So, I mean, I think that's fantastic. Where do you think you'd be in 10 years or hope?
10 years. 10 years I hope to move back to North Carolina and have been settled down there. Maybe not settled down because I still want to travel, but at least living there and call that.
To go back
yes,
to
exactly. Call that home base. So definitely that, being able to work within bowling and hopefully within NASCAR as well, and be able to tie in NASCAR sponsorships with bowling sponsorships, a lot like what Go Bowling is doing.
I think that's excellent. I mean,
it's phenomenal. I love the idea. I think the demographics between bowling, racing, and fishing are all very similar.
Sure.
I mean, I've done plenty of research on it, and just those three sports are so similar. And so why aren't we supporting each other? Why don't you want to grow more sports? So I would like to do something like that. So reasons I'd be moving back to North Carolina. So I guess that'd probably be where I want to be in 10 years, just traveling, still bowling.
Sure.
Hopefully.
I hope so.
Hopefully
God, you're
still
still
bowling.
going to be young in 10 years.
Yeah, I was like, hopefully still bowling. So we'll see how that goes.
Good deal. All right, this is a shot where I always ask, and you're obviously still young, but I'm focusing more on some of the up-and-comers that were, the 9, 10, 12, 14-year-olds. Give some advice you think to our youth that would help them out in life, bowling, or both.
I would definitely have to say practice a lot, dedicate yourself to the sport, and just be you. That is the one thing. Chuck Gardner told me that, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, and it has stuck with me ever since.
Another icon in the business there.
Just be you.
Good advice.
And so that's the advice I give everyone, because it goes so far into be yourself as a human being, but be yourself as a bowler. Trust your instincts. Do what you feel is best on the lanes. So that's the advice I give, everyone at this point. And even whenever I sign like little player cards, I say, be you, and then sign my name.
Simple but solid. Caitlyn, I can't thank you enough for coming
No,
out. It's been a
thank
pleasure.
you so much.
And good luck to you and the
Thank
entire
you.
Weber team. I have no doubt you're going to have a phenomenal season again, as you all have every single year. You make us very proud at Kegel.
Thank you. Thank you
Ladies
very
and
much.
gentlemen, that's a wrap. Keep those wrenches turning and have a wonderful day.